All right, as the ushers continue to receive the offering, allow me to give our instructions for the lighting of the candles. We come now to the climax of our service, the best part. And as we do that, let me just remind you, when it comes time to light the candle, if you have small children, please help your children in lighting their candles and make sure you're watching them so we don't catch anyone's hair on fire. It always sort of ruins the mood when that happens. When we pass the light, here's what's going to happen, is once your candle is lit, you're going to have this impulse to want to bend it over to light the person's candle next to you, to be nice, to do that. As you're being nice, you're pouring hot wax all over their clothing. So don't do that. If you would, hold your candle upright. Once it's lit, hold it upright and make the other person bend their candle over. And some of them are going to wait for you to do this. Don't. Just resist and hold it upright. They'll eventually figure out that they need to do this. Once your candle's lit, hold it upright the entire rest of the time until you extinguish the candle and you walk out the door, and then finally you can put it down. Otherwise, you'll spill hot wax everywhere. All right. So here it is. In order to appreciate the light and what Christmas means, you have to feel the darkness. The world is a dark place sometimes. You've been there. Some of you lost your jobs recently or will in the coming year. One family in the last service, their house burned down last Friday. We live in an age and time where terrorism is still very real and where wars are still fought across the world. 30,000 children die every day of starvation and malnutrition-related diseases. That doesn't have to happen. That's a darkness. And in our own lives, depression, despair, divorce, brokenness, sin, we feel it. And finally, that journey through the valley of the shadow of death we'll make with many of our friends, our parents, until finally we take that journey for ourselves. Can you feel the darkness? And when you're standing in the darkness, when you finally feel it, you're able to say, please let there be light. Let there be light. Listen then to the Christmas story as told by the gospel writer John. No angels, shepherds, wise men, just light piercing the darkness as the Christ light is brought into the room.
In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things came into being through him, and without him not one thing came into being. What has come into being, in him was life, and the life was the light of all people. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not overcome it. He was in the world, and the world came into being through him, yet the world did not know him. He came to what was his own, and his own people did not accept him. But to all who received him, who believed in his name, he gave power to become children of God, who were born not of blood, or of the will of the flesh, or of the will of man, but of God. And the Word became flesh and lived among us, and we have seen his glory, the glory as of a Father's only Son, full of grace and truth. From his fullness we have all received grace upon grace. The law indeed was given through Moses. Grace and truth came through Jesus Christ. No one has ever seen God. It is God, the only Son, who is close to the Father's heart, who has made him known.
And 2,000 years ago, in a first century parking garage, the Word became flesh and light pierced our darkness. Now, he was just one light, very powerful, but just one. At the age of 30, he began his public ministry, and he began to preach the kingdom of God, the reign of God is at hand. And he called people to think differently and to follow him. He invited tax collectors and fishermen, ne'er-do-wells, to be his disciples. He said, I am the light of the world, but now I'm calling you to be light. to let your light shine before others that they might see your good works and give glory to your Father who's in heaven, to begin a new path and a new way. And he passed that light on, the light of Christ. At the very last of his life, after his death and resurrection, he said to his disciples, "Go now into all the world and make disciples of all people, teaching them the things I've taught you and baptizing them. And lo, I will be with you always, even to the end of the age." And they shared the light with others. And they with others, and they with others, until finally someone shared it with you. Now, when you receive that light and you share it with others, what you find is no matter how dark your world may be, how difficult and painful, you begin to experience something of a silent night. Let's stand together as we sing. For as long as I live and can remember anything, this will be one of my finest memories of Christmas, is looking and seeing you with the candlelight glowing in your faces, a picture of what I think Jesus had in mind when he sent us out to be light for him. You know, we started this church 18 years ago, my wife and I and our two daughters, in the hopes of creating a place for thinking people who had been walking in the darkness and maybe opted out of church for a while, and where they might come and experience the light of Christ, where we would encourage one another and help each other grow in our faith, and then we would go out and let his light shine through us in the world and change the world, because we think that was Jesus' picture of what the church was supposed to be. You know, I know people who think, well, I can be a Christian all by myself without the church, and maybe so, but a few minutes ago you saw one light, and it was not much light in this room trying to do it all by itself, but hold up your candles if you would, and then look around. And I think this is what Jesus had in mind for the church, a whole bunch of people encouraging one another to let our light shine together, and then go hold them up, keep them up. And then heading out into the world and saying, okay, let's see what this church can do as we let our light shine together. The world has changed. And as you do that, as you let Christ's light shine in you, as you join with others and encourage them to let the light shine, and as together you let the light shine in the world, you know what you discover is pure joy. It's been a joy to worship the Lord with you on this Christmas Eve. Thank you so much for being here. As you prepare to leave, I want to encourage you to take that postcard with you for the new sermon series. Invite somebody to join you with us in worship as we consider these important issues. If you don't have a church family here in Kansas City, come back to this one. We started this church for you. And if you live out of town, you can catch our sermons online and download them on a podcast, but find a church in your hometown. Now, after we have the benediction, that is the closing prayer, I'm going to ask you to extinguish your candles, and then you can leave them in the bins as you're walking out. Keep them upright until you get back there so the wax doesn't spill. But before you actually leave, turn around and wish someone a Merry Christmas. After all, it's Christmas morning. Would you bow with me? And now as we leave this place, may we go forth with the light of Christ shining in our hearts, and may Christmas be real to us this year. May his light shine through us that others might see his work in us and give glory to him. And may the light of Christ illuminate our hearts this day and forevermore. Amen.